Worthy One, a Marvel fanfiction written on AO3 by Parker Munson _Bright. The link for this fanfiction will be in the description box below, so I encourage you all to go check it out. He didn't know what to do. He'd been staring at the screen for half an hour without paying attention to the movie he was watching. The only other sound in the room was Peter's chair creaking as he rolled around repeatedly. He stood and shut down his computer. He wanted to do something, but he couldn't find anything that he actually wanted to do. It seemed like every little thing bored him. He tried taking a nap, but that didn't work. He spent most of the time singing a song in his head that wouldn't leave him alone. He put on a Spidey suit and went out the window, webbing halfway through the town. This usually takes some healthy edge off when he was feeling like this, but 10 minutes in, he was still feeling the same, even though he stopped a bad guy from robbing a store just down the street. And while it helped to kick the bad guy's ass, immediately afterwards he felt it all again. He often felt like this, and it drove him insane. He decided to go to Mr. Stark. He always kept him busy, whether it was working on enhancing Tony's AI or on some suits. "Hey, Mr. Stark," he said as he flew through the window. Tony sighed, lifting his hand to the bridge of his nose. "Kid, what did I tell you about doing this?" "Sorry, but why bother happy and sit through that boring ride when I can just web myself through the city? It's much more fun and cool." "I need something stronger," he muttered, drinking the last bit of apple juice he so wished was whiskey. "Pete, what brings you here at this hour? You should be asleep." He sighed, pacing around the room. "I've got nothing else to do." "Sleep?" his mentor repeated. "I tried that, didn't work out." Peter hopped up and hung from the ceiling. It wasn't unusual for him to do this when he was bored. "What about homework? I know you have to study for the history test next week." "I mean, nothing that sparks joy." "Okay, well, I do need you to make some more web fluid for your suit." "Yeah, I've already made a bunch. It's at home. I can bring it if you want," he said. And before Tony could say a word, Peter dropped from the ceiling and yeeted himself out the window. In a few minutes, he was back with the web fluid in his backpack. He slung himself back into the room. Tony sighed, taking the canister from the kid. "Kid, you gotta stop doing that. It's not safe for you to have your web fluid at home." "No, it's fine. What else do you have for me?" he asked, stretching his arms. "Nothing yet. We've already worked on enhancing Karen and Friday. Already worked on our suits." "But, Mrs. Stark," Peter whined, "I need something else to do, or I might explode." "Kid, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't have anything for you." Peter groaned and fell onto the couch. Tony stared at him and then came up with an idea. "Okay, maybe we could train?" Peter quickly got up at that. "Yes, that's a great idea. Thank you, Mr. Stark." They walked into the training room on the 10th floor, and as they walked in, they saw blonde hair latched into a bun. Oh my gosh, it's nice to see you again, Mrs. Thorser." He whipped around when he heard Peter's voice. "Ah, man of spiders, is it? I was going to work out with Hulk, but it seems Banner has run late." "You can train with us," Peter said, a little too enthusiastically. He toned it down, clearing his throat. "I mean, if you want." "That would be a great idea, Spiderling. Thank you for the offer." Peter turned to Tony, stretching out his arms as he spoke. "Okay, what's first?" "Turn around. Let me test your Spidey sense. I gotta train that too, not just your fighting skills," he said as he suited up. He did as he was told, and in a few seconds he caught Tony's arm, flipping him over and banging Tony's head on the mat. "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Stark," he said, immediately going up to help him. "No, I'm fine, kid," he groaned as he sat up. That's when Thor went in for a punch and successfully connected his fist to Peter's face. Lesson 1. Never let anyone catch you off guard. When Peter regained clarity, he slung 2 webs off his shoulders and flung himself towards Thor, but Thor caught him by the legs and threw him towards the other side of the room before Peter had a chance to kick him in the chest. "Hey, don't go too hard on him," he heard Tony say. "No, it's fine." Peter winced as he sat up, his side aching from the throw. "Okay, I'll go soft on him." Thor threw the hammer from hand to hand and threw it at Peter. It hit the padded wall and fell to the floor. Peter swung a web before the light switch, turning the light off. He got up onto the ceiling, ignoring the men's reactions, crawling towards them and dodging Tony's hits. Once he dropped onto the ground before he had any time to react, Peter grabbed both their heads, crashing them together. Thor put his hand out, summoning Mjolnir, but before the blonde Grodd had a chance to grab it, Peter beat him to it, holding it with ease. As soon as he got a hold of it, he sent it flying towards them, zooming towards Thor and Tony. It landed on the ground as the hammer went back to Peter like a boomerang. He flipped back on the light switch, looking at the 2 men on the ground. "Did I win?" Peter asked, out of breath with a smile on his face. Both men stood speechless, looking at each other with awestruck expressions. Peter looked down at Thor's hammer and stepped towards him. "Oh, sorry, here you go." Thor stood there, motionless, as Peter held Mjolnir. "I bow down to you, O worthy one, king of spiders." Confusion painted his face as Thor bowed down to him. I don't understand." Tony stood up, walking towards him. "Kid, you realize that no one clipped the hammer but him, right? Captain envisioned too. Your father couldn't." Thor chuckled heartily. It took Peter a few seconds to understand who he was referring to. When they both understood, they quickly argued against it. "No, we're not. He's not my dad. No, I'm not his dad. He is just my intern." Stark cleared his throat. "Wait, you can't hold Mjolnir?" Peter turned to Tony. "Not even Hulk? Oh man, I'm stronger." "It's not all about strength. Only those worthy of this power can hold Mjolnir. And you, Spider-Man, are worthy," Thor told the young spider. Tony scoffed. "Oh, come on, this is bogus. Cap wasn't able to pick up that thing on his first try, but when you were fighting Thanos, he could." "So, you're saying maybe you can now?" Peter asked. "Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying." He walked towards Peter and he put Mjolnir on the ground. Even with his suit on, Tony tried picking it up, but it wouldn't budge. He chuckled nervously. "I'm just wiped." "Uh-huh." Peter bobbed his head up and down, ready to quip. Tony waggled a finger at him before he could say anything. "Not a word. Go to sleep. You too, Blondie." With a laugh, Thor lifted up his hammer with ease. "Gods don't need sleep." Just as Peter was about to say something, Bruce walked into the training room. "Hey, sorry I'm late. I just had some things to do at the lab. What'd I miss?"